So, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Doing good as well, thank you. How's your morning so far?
Yeah, good. Slept in, had some coffee. All good things.
That's good. It's a good start. So, Jessica, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. It was super cool. Now, before we start, I have to give you an epic welcome to the show. So, you have watched some of my episodes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If not, well, let's get started then. This is by far my favorite part, for sure. But anyway, so starting with the whole interview here, tell me, where does your passion for art started?
I don't think I have like a specific point. I always was in dance class and things like that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And was very fortunate to be able to see the arts a lot. Like my mom and I always, since I was very, very little, went to see the New York City Ballet. They perform upstate in Saratoga Springs in the summertime, and that's where I'm from. So I always remember going there. And it just kind of blossomed from there, going to like theater summer camp. And then in middle school, I got to see my first Broadway show. And I think I finally realized that, this is something people do for like a living, not just like on TV or things like that. Like people actually perform on a stage for a living. So
that's so awesome. So basically all of those moments triggered that passion for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. And so you start as Queen Bee in the children's play To Be or Not to Be. Tell me, do you remember some of the best memories you had during that play?
I was really little. I think I was in like first or second grade when I was in that show. All I really remember was I had like a throne, and our costume was like a big yellow t-shirt that we put like black stripes on with electrical tape.
Yeah.
Solid costuming for a bumblebee.
That's really cool. Yeah. And then years happened, and then in 2018 you moved to New York City. So tell me, what were some of the challenges you first had when you started building your career there?
I think the biggest challenge was just like learning the industry and how it kind of works. I think that's something that's like very lacking in college programs. They like do all of these things to like do the work and like be in shows, but they don't tell you how to get there.
Yeah.
Like, tell you about the audition process or like what an ECC is or an EPA or like how showing up to Pearl for an audition or doing those kinds of things actually works. Now it's changed again because of the pandemic. It's all like video submissions and things right now.
Yeah.
But back then, I think that was like the hardest part, was just figuring out like how do I even get seen. So
yeah, absolutely. And so you have been in Thoroughly Modern Millie. So tell me about tell me about that play and about your character there.
Yeah, so I was like a featured member of the ensemble, I guess you could say. I had multiple different roles. I played like a girl named Ruth, who lives in the house with Millie, in the girls' house. I also danced the part of the Pearl Lady, who's the one in the club that kind of steals Millie's man away from her. And then I also was like, I'm a tap dancer, so I was also one of the stenogs in the office. So it really involved a lot of costume changes. Because for typically the person who dances the Pearl Lady is not also one of the girls in the house.
Okay.
So Ruth is technically supposed to be in the club scene, but I had to, there's like a little scene before where they like enter the club, and then so I would like enter the club and then run behind everyone and exit out one of the back doors, change my costume in like 10 seconds, and then like come back out as the Pearl Lady finish that number, run back off, change again, and come back out as a stunlock. It was like crazy how the turnaround had to be. And like, luckily the costumes are not crazy in that show. It's a lot of like just 1920s dresses, so they're pretty loose and easy to put on. I'm not like doing corsets and hair changes and things like that. I just had like different barrettes and things in my hair and like headbands and stuff. But yeah, that's what that show was just like constantly flipping different characters within like a matter of seconds.
Wow. I mean, that must have been really cool, but also like, like the super fast in order to keep going, like to keep the pace going, right?
Yeah. It was always, it was an exhausting show for me to be in. I mean, I'm like singing and dancing and changing costumes. It felt like I never got a break, which is always fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And tell me how you usually prepare to play a character.
I don't say I have like a specific like route that I always take. I always usually try to like read through the script and find how like I relate to the character, how they like similar to me, and then I kind of like build off of that. And a lot of the times I think more along the lines of like when I first start, like what drives the character? Are they like a head-driven character? Are they a heart-driven character? What kind of drives them to get through life and to continue the journey that they're on in this show? I feel like that's usually like where my base comes from, and then I just take in more knowledge as I like go through the script and we start scene work or start dancing and singing. Depending if I'm doing like a play or a film or a musical. They're all a little bit, because like a musical you're going to start off with like the dancing and singing, and then the scene work kind of comes in after that, whereas a play you're like gonna hit scene work straight from the top, and really start like developing those characters, because there's not as many like nitty gritty things to learn as like in a musical. You can really spend the time on just like developing the character and doing
absolutely. Interesting. And tell me, what are some of the things that you enjoy the most about theater?
I just love theater. I love that you get to like relate to an audience, and you get like, you can hear their feedback, and they can like show you how they are relating to your characters. I've been lucky to play like both like a villainous character as well as like the ingenue character in shows. So it's just a lot of fun to feel the audience's energy that towards your character back. Like, you get a lot of empathy as like the ingenue of like, oh, like she's just a young girl trying to figure it out. Or like the villainous character, they're like, I don't like her, you know what I mean? And you can like get that energy and build that off, not only from like your scene partners on stage, but also like feeding it from the audience, which I think is something that's super special about live theater. Yeah,
absolutely. And that whole connection that you can create between the audience and the play itself, I think that it's one of the, like, once you have that, I think it's when everything pretty much changes. It becomes like a like the whole, like you're taking them on this journey with you, I don't know.
Yeah. I think a definite moment in theater is like you hit that point in rehearsal where you're like, oh, all we need is just a live audience. And as soon as you get that live audience, you're like, oh my God, this is like what it feels like. You know what I mean? Because the show was written to be in front of people. So, especially like a comedy or something like that. Like you're just like waiting for people to laugh, and you're like, oh, okay, there's no one here to laugh for me. So once that like live audience hits, it's just an amazing experience.
Yeah, I totally agree on that. Now, tell me about Grease. So you played as Patty Simcox. Tell me, what did you enjoy the most about that play?
I mean, Grease is just a fun show. It's so fun, and the songs are just constantly stuck in your head everywhere you go. It does not matter. They're just always playing. I loved Patty because Grease doesn't really have like a villainous character, but in some routes she is the villain towards Sandy. Like she's trying to take away Danny from her.
Yeah.
But she's also like naive in the sense that she's doing that. I think she comes from like a super innocent place, that she doesn't come from a very like this is what I want, I'm taking it away from her. She just like likes Danny and builds off of those feelings, and like wants to be the cool girl and be the girl that gets to have the cool boy. And Sandy unfortunately gets caught in some of that trap fire, but you know, ends up on top anyways. So
yeah. And tell me, what do you usually do before and after playing?
So before it's like super important to have like both, depending if I'm doing a play, musical, both like physical and vocal warm-ups.
Yeah.
So that's usually a big part of my process. I love doing like yoga as my physical warm-up before a show, because not only does it, you know, warm up my body and get me in my body, it also like mentally prepares me for things. Like it helps you get very centered and all of those things. So that's one thing I always try to incorporate in my warm-ups. And it'll vary for like vocal warm-ups. For like a play, it's going to be a lot more like diction warm-ups and things like that, making sure I'm still speaking on the breath and not speaking, you know, out of a place that's going to give me vocal fatigue, doing a show multiple times a week. And then for singing, obviously, it's all the vocal warm-ups, and also making sure I'm set for the day. Like, I have my placement for the day. I understand what I'm working with for the day. When you're doing a show that's running long-term, every day is a little different. Like, some days my allergies are worse. Some days, like, I'm super clear. So having the different residences and knowing that's also part of like warming up vocally, is just knowing like what's going on today, how am I feeling, is this, maybe I need to take out that extra high option up note today just to like be safe because I'm not feeling too great. So yeah, also like just checking in and seeing where I am is super important when doing a long running show, because you want to leave the show still in one piece that you
absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool. Wow. And I bet that once it's like all done, you feel, I mean, of course, that depending of the whole vibe, because I feel that sometimes when you finish a show, you will be all hyped, you know, and wanted to have another, like, let's say like you want to have like another one, or you wanted to pretty much conquer the world, or there are some of them that you finished them good and everything, but you're just tired and you just want to go to bed, and that's it, right?
Yeah. Again, it's always, a lot of people miss like warming down is also as important as warming up, and that can just mean like stretching or just doing some like easy vocal things, just to like warm your voice down a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is hard sometimes. I'm just like, I want to go, or I have plans after a show or something, and I'm excited and I just want to go do that. But always reminding myself, like, yes, you have to take the time for you and be a little selfish and take like 10 minutes and cool yourself down, so that you can wake up again and do this tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. Now let's talk about the Voice of Broadway. I mean, what did you like the most about your character in that play?
Yeah, so that was a new work I worked on here in the city. It's about the journalist Dorothy Kilgallen. She was like an actual person back in like the 30s and 40s. She did a lot of reporting and both on like very famous people, had a relationship with the Kennedys and things like that. She was a very important person during that time, and I played her, which was really fun. She's very much like she's very smart. She's a woman in the 30s and 40s making a career for herself is very unheard of for that time.
Yeah.
She was also like a very strong character. She knew what she wanted. She knew like how to get herself out of situations. There was like one scene where she gets like held up in a bar, and she like talks herself out. Like she's like standing with a gun to her head after doing this like interview, and she has to like talk this guy out of shooting her. And she's also wrapped up in the so the play is like about her life, and also about there's a conspiracy that she had something to do with JFK's assassination.
Yeah.
So the play also like explores, because she kind of like mysteriously dies one night, so there's like all of these like conspiracies that someone like killed her for knowing something about the assassination, and all of that stuff. So it was just very cool and great to put my own stamp on it, because no one had ever done it before. It was like the first time that it was put on stage. So I just got to like do the research and build her from like the ground up. It's really awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool. Wow. Yeah, that looks really cool. By the way, sorry for all the barkings here. I mean, I live with 3 dogs, so no matter who or no matter what just walks by the house, they instantly get all hyped and start barking. Like it doesn't matter what is, you know. Like
as soon as one goes, all 3 have to go.
Yeah. Like there was this time that in the middle of, I don't know, it was like 2 a.m. something, and it started to bark like this, and I was like, wait, what? So I just they normally stay inside, so they were barking like that inside. So I went outside to see what was going on, and then it turns out that it was just a cat just passing by. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. But anyway, so going back here, so that's really cool. That the fact that you got the chance to play that character, that's very. I mean, I bet that it was also kind of inspiring, right? At the same time.
Oh, definitely. I like learned what a backbone was through that character.
Yeah.
It's a show I did when I within the first year that I moved to the city, and I am definitely a person who doesn't have like a super strong backbone, and I kind of learned that through her, how to stand up for myself and be determined to get what I want and be okay with expressing that to people. It's definitely something I learned from playing her, which was really awesome.
That's awesome. And tell me, how usually is the vibe backstage like during a play?
I've always had a super positive experience, and I always work to make I always like there not to be drama backstage, because all the drama should be saved for the stage. So I try to always be very friendly with people, and I know some people haven't always had that experience, but I've been very fortunate to every contract and show that I've done has been very positive, very warm, very comfortable, able to just communicate with people and make relationships, both as you're going through the characters on stage and off stage in our real lives. I've been very fortunate to make a lot of very, very good friends from a lot of the shows that I've been in.
That's so awesome. Now, if you could describe your career at the moment on a play, what would be the title of it?
Oh, God. I would probably title it Working for Someday or something like that. I feel because everything's been so stagnant that all I've been doing for the past year is working towards hopefully something that's gonna happen. So yeah, working towards someday, or I think that would probably be the title of my play at this moment.
Okay, fair enough. Now, tell me about your experience on theme parks, and what are some of the highlights you have while performing on those shows?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to have some great theme park contracts. I worked as Cinderella at Storyland in New Hampshire, and then I worked at Busch Gardens. They have a German song and dance show called Oktoberzest. Because the Busch Gardens in Williamsburg is an Epcot basically, with a ton of rides. Theme park contracts are hard because they're long hours. You're working 8 to 10 hours a day, doing multiple shows. So at Busch Gardens, we did 4 to 5 shows a day and worked 5 days of the week. So it was just having the stamina to keep up with something like that, especially when you're doing, like, you know, every show is exactly the same leg is getting kicked, the same vocals are being sung 4 to 5 times a day, and keeping both your body fresh and the show fresh, doing it that many times is something that you learn very quickly on how to do that in the theme park, or you will fail miserably. And then at Storyland, I had a little bit of variety because there's 2 Cinderellas on the theme park. So one day you would spend it meeting greeting in the castle, and then the next day you would spend it. There was like a tea time with Cinderella. You would spend the day doing those shows, and then there was like a big closing show at the end of the day with the other characters at Storyland that you would do then. So that was nice because you got to have like a little bit of like variety. You knew like I didn't have to do the same exact thing every day, and for that one it was nice because I mean when you're playing Cinderella, all the kids there just like love you, and they like be around you and like give you a hug and tell you their story. And I had this one little girl who she was like a frequenter at the park. Her name was Minnie, and she was like 3, and she had this like tiny little voice. She talked like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, "Hi, Cinderella." And for whatever reason, every time she came, it always lined up for when I was either like in the castle. She always saw me, or she came to like tea time for her birthday. Yeah. And I was the Cinderella at tea time that day. And one of the last days in the park, she was there, and I was tea time Cinderella, but she went up to the castle. So I was doing the show at the end of the day, and we have like a little, we spend like 15 minutes after the show taking pictures with the kids. It's the only time like all of the characters are together in the park, so it's like a photo opportunity. And all of a sudden I hear and like boom, and I'm wearing like this big dress, so I can't see her. She's like hugging my legs, and she's like, I found you, there's an imposter in the castle, but she's not you. And it was just so cute that she was like 3 and thought, somehow rationalized that like I was the only Cinderella. Cinderella.
That's so awesome.
It was so sweet, and working at Storyland is like filled with those kinds of moments because the kids are just so special and like in love with the characters.
Yeah, of course. That's so cool. Wow. And what do you like the most about singing and dancing?
I love like singing and dancing to like share a story. I think that like elevates you. The thing in like musical theater, they always say is like you sing when you can no longer speak, and you dance when you can no longer sing or speak. Yeah. So it's just a vessel to express even more about life and the story of the character, and either like the joy or the sadness or the betrayal or anything that they're feeling in that moment that they just need to like explode with, is I think something that's like super special. And I walk around sometimes and I just like want my life to be that way. I'm like, I'm so angry right now, I just want to sing, and I'm in public and I'm like, I can't just like think how mad I am right now, or like start dancing and stomping around and being a little crazy. So.
Yeah, of course. Now, tell me, what do you think it's the key to mount a good show for a theme park?
I think the key is having, for a theme park contract, you like have to rely, I mean in any show really, you have to rely on your castmates, anyone working in the crew, because theme parks, like I said before, are pretty rigorous. Yeah. And as an like being on Broadway, I'd imagine doing like 8 shows a week, full-length shows. It's having like a strong bond between the cast and the crew, because not only does it make it easier to be on stage and like have a fun time and have relationships with your characters on stage, it also just makes the experience good. Like when you're there for several months and you're having, you don't like anyone in the cast and crew, you are going to have a miserable time, and that's going to show on stage. When you really, genuinely care for the people that you work with, that also is going to come across on stage and in your real life, and can like make or break a contract, I think.
Okay, interesting. Wow. Now, I wonder, what motivates you? Because from what I was doing, like all this research, right, for all the content for all this interview. I mean, I noticed that you have that your career at the moment is really cool. I mean, you have done some cool things. I mean, the fact that you were Cinderella and all of those things, I think it's really cool. But tell me, what keeps you going every day? Like, what motivates you in order to keep pursuing, your dream here?
Yeah. I think I've read this a lot in like a lot of like acting books and stuff, and from like teachers and things like that. If there's something else you want to pursue in your life, go do that, because acting is hard. It is, I mean, not a normal career in the sense that you just get to go to work every day, and work is always going to be there, and you like move up through either the job you're at or moving across companies. It doesn't work like that. So what motivates me every day, and I've spent a lot of time thinking about this in the past year, is that I would not be happy doing anything else. And it gets hard, and there's points where I want to quit, or I am like, why do I keep doing this to myself? I could just, would I want to do this, and this? And then I think about it a little while, and I'm like, I absolutely do not want to do that. Like, I don't want to go be an elementary school teacher or something like that. And it's like, this is where my passion is, and I know that if I left it behind, there would be something always missing in my life. So I think that's what gets me up every day and motivates me to do this. And I just have like a passion and an instinctive drive to want to share stories and communicate with people on a level that not everyone can communicate with other people, share stories and show things. So
wow, that's really inspiring. Cool. And my last question here is, what advice can you give to those who recently starting, like pursuing their dreams?
I would say that it's hard, and be ready for the ups and downs, and I've definitely learned that it takes a long time to build a career. It's not going to be like, it's very few in between people who are like, it's a year into the business and they're like on Broadway or like starring in a TV show or things like that. So just like straddle, like be ready for it and ask yourself, like, is there anything else that I would want to do that isn't pursuing acting or something in this business? And if there is, then I would take a good hard look at maybe doing that instead, because it's a grind, and it's not for everyone. Even if you love doing acting and theater, the lifestyle is much different than you would think it is. And I would say to be open to explore auditioning for things that you might not think you're right for, because you don't know your type yet, and exploring that and taking help from anyone who's willing to give it to you is always amazing. And find a tribe of people who are either just a step above you or kind of in your same place to kind of cradle you and help carry you through both the good and the bad times.
There you go. Yeah, it's true. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that is kind of one of the challenges, right? That whenever you want to take on your passions or dreams, since you're pretty much creating something out of nowhere, it takes time, of course, and it's challenging. And yeah, there will be a lot of times in which you will be wondering yourself, if this is like the thing you love the most or not. But I think at the same time, like the key here is just to keep going, right? I mean, to keep trying and trying, because I mean, I've been discovering is that whenever you think that you want to quit or something, then suddenly you will have like in your head the right reasons to continue, and that's when you know that what you're doing, it is truly what you truly love, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of the times when you like hit rock bottom, or you think like, I'm not getting it, this like audition's gonna go, it was terrible, those are the things you end up booking. So it's always just keep going and pursuing it as long as you're passionate about it. Is always, because it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time to get to know people. It's gonna take time to learn the craft and learn what your type is, and things that you should be going out for, and things that you can play easily, things that come to you easily. Like for me, I'm sure most people can tell, I'm a pretty bubbly, positive person, but I tend to play like a lot of the mean girls or things like that, and those characters come to me pretty easily. Or I do, play like the ingenue type too, but I often find myself auditioning for a lot of like the mean girl parts or things like that. So
yeah, that's cool. That's cool. I think the end of it, I mean, what I've been discovering with this whole interviews is that, like with the actors, when I ask them, and when they play villains, they love it.
yes.
And yeah, I mean, I totally agree on that. And I've said that in previous episodes, that you can do whatever you want, and you're the villain, so that's fine because you're the villain. So everyone will be like, that's cool, you know?
Yeah, they're like, okay, yep, you can be nasty, you can be all of these things, all of these like interesting tactics you can use to like mess up the main character's day or journey or whatever's going on in the show you're in.
Yeah.
I also think
can you hear me?
Oh, yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
No. Yeah, okay. It's lagging. It's lagging a little bit.
Okay. I think they're particularly fun because I get to like explore a side of me that I don't live in every day. I don't live in a lot of like negativity or like wanting to drag other people down, so like it's kind of fun to bring out that side of me sometimes for a character.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely being the villain, I think, it's the best part here, or the most fun, or yeah, like the fun one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Well, Jessica, what can I say? I mean, basically, you are an amazing, super talented actress here. I look forward to see more of your awesome work in the future, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it's really cool the fact that you moved from upstate to New York City, and that you're working on your career there. That of course it is challenging, but you're doing it. So I think that is a very inspiring story here, and also a very inspiring reason to those who wanna start like their own thing to just do it. I mean, you're kind of the living proof here that you're taking this big shot and you're actually doing it. Of course that it will take time, but you're doing it. So that is epic. Now, so because that's epic and you're epic, I need to give you my epicness level 1. So this is a level 1. And again, thank you so much for being here, for being here on the show. That's really cool here. Also, thank you for those who tuning in, and those who are listening to this later on the podcast and later on the YouTube video. Make sure that you're following Jessica and all of her social media. Normally, what I would say is that for you to take pause, hydrate, and then go follow Jessica. Leave a bunch of likes here and there, and then come back for sure. And again, Jessica, thank you so much. Now, before I send you off, I need to give you my epicness level 2. So, here we go.
Thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Sorry?
I said thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Yeah, I love it. So keep having an amazing rest of the day here. I wish you a great rest of the week. And keep being amazing. And I'll see you in the next one then.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Bye.